The Book of the Second Death, Episode 5. The heavy wooden gates of Drakmar Monastery creaked open, revealing a sight that took the group's breath away. Nestled within the rugged mountainside, the monastery radiated an aura of serenity and timelessness. Its beauty was in its simplicity, stone buildings arranged in harmonious clusters, each with a purpose as sacred as the last. The main courtyard opened to several enclaves, one dedicated to meditation, another to the study of ancient texts, another for food, medicine, and even one for communal gatherings. It was as though each space was a reflection of the monastery's balanced and ordered existence. Charlie, Julian, Eleanor, and Dorje stood in silent awe, their exhaustion momentarily forgotten in the face of such beauty. The buildings were modest, adorned with intricate carvings of lotus flowers and the ever-watchful eyes of the Buddha. A gentle hum of chanting filled the air, carried by the cold mountain breeze, and the scent of incense lingered as if infused into the stone itself. "This is magnificent," Eleanor whispered, her voice barely audible, not wanting to disturb the sacred silence that enveloped them. The hermit, who had guided them here, approached the gate's guards, speaking in low, rapid Tibetan. The guards, both of whom were seasoned monks, listened intently, occasionally casting suspicious glances toward the group. After a moment of tense conversation, one of the guards nodded, allowing the group to pass through the gate. The elder of the two guards stepped forward, bowing slightly to the group. His expression was serious but not unfriendly. "The hermit has spoken on your behalf. You may enter, but I must warn you," he said, his voice heavy with caution. "We had another visitor not long ago, an ill man, gravely sick, who arrived barely able to speak. We do not know his name, and he has been in seclusion since." Julian exchanged a sharp glance with Charlie. "An ill man?" Julian muttered under his breath. "That has to be Rajan Singh. He's playing sick to avoid detection." Charlie nodded, his gut tightening with suspicion. "It fits. He must be here, hiding in plain sight. We need to be careful." The group was led through the monastery's courtyards, where monks moved gracefully from one task to another, some carrying water, others tending to plants in the small, well-tended gardens. Despite the simplicity of their surroundings, there was a richness in the air, a palpable sense of devotion and discipline. They were guided to a small, dimly lit dining room, where the scent of spiced vegetables greeted them warmly. A simple meal was placed before them, hot tea and a modest but hearty serving of vegetable dal. The warmth of the tea spread through their chilled bodies as they ate in silence, the tension of their long journey finally beginning to melt away. As they finished their meal, the head abbot appeared. He was an elderly man, his face lined with age but his eyes sharp and luminous. His movements were slow and deliberate, each step a study in patience. Bowing slightly, he gestured for them to follow him. "You are weary," he said softly, his voice carrying the weight of wisdom. "Rest is deserved, but there is much to learn and much you must understand before your journey can continue." They followed him into a small chamber overlooking the snowy peaks. The windows, framed by simple wooden carvings, opened onto a view of the vast mountains where the world seemed to stretch into infinity. The room was sparse, containing only low cushions on which they sat as the abbot began to speak. "Life in this monastery is one of rhythm and devotion," he said. "Each day begins at 3 a.m. with meditation. We gather to chant the sacred mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, the jewel in the lotus. For 1 hour, we allow the mantra to open our hearts, purify our minds, and connect us to the source of all life." Julian leaned forward, listening intently. The abbot's voice had a hypnotic quality to it, drawing them deeper into the esoteric traditions of the monastery. After the chanting, the abbot continued, we practice a twofold technique. First, contemplation, an active engagement with one's thoughts and the teachings we study. And second, listening to the inner silence that speaks louder than words. This balance allows us to become both the question and the answer. Charlie felt the warmth from the tea seep further into his body, blending with the abbot's words. The world of the monastery seemed to operate on a higher plane, one he was only just beginning to understand. Our days continue with structured physical postures, movements designed not just to strengthen the body, but to harmonize the flow of energy within. Each posture is a form of meditation in itself, a prayer offered through motion. The abbot's eyes twinkled slightly as he added, "This is followed by a plunge into the icy waters of the nearby spring. It is both invigorating and cleansing, a reminder of life's impermanence." Eleanor shivered slightly at the thought of the icy plunge, but remained focused as the abbot spoke on. Group chanting follows, and then the sharing of meals. Each part of our day is a meditation, a reflection on the sacred and the simple. Even the act of eating becomes an offering to the divine. As the abbot finished explaining their daily routine, the group exchanged glances. There was something captivating about the strict regimen of the monastery. It was not just discipline for discipline's sake. It was a life designed to peel away distractions, to allow the soul to seek its truest form. After a pause, the abbot's face grew more solemn, and the air in the room thickened with anticipation. "You came here seeking the Shivoham," he said, his voice deepening. "The book holds great power, but it is not merely a text to be read. It is a guide, a living manuscript that interacts with the soul of the reader. The book is divided into 3 sections, but only one can be accessed by each seeker." Eleanor frowned slightly, intrigued. "Why only one?" she asked. "Because," the abbot replied, his eyes darkening, "each section offers a distinct path, a path that will transform you. Once you begin down one path, the others become closed to you forever. The Shivoham reveals the journey most aligned with your soul, but the price of insight is singularity. To attempt to learn more than one path would not lead to enlightenment. It would lead to madness." A shiver ran through Charlie as he considered the gravity of the abbot's words. "Tell us about the 3 paths," Charlie said, his voice low, though filled with curiosity. The abbot nodded. "The first path, found in the first section of the book, is the path of detachment. It teaches that all suffering comes from attachment to the world, to possessions, to people, to life itself. To follow this path is to learn to release all ties to the material realm and embrace the void with peace." "The second," he continued, "is the path of service. It is the most outward of the 3, requiring that the seeker immerse themselves fully in the lives of others. It is through selfless service that one transcends the self and finds liberation in unity with the whole. The third path," he said, his voice growing quieter, "is the path of contemplation. This is the road of the scholar, the mystic, the philosopher. It involves deep reflection on the nature of existence, a questioning of all reality until the seeker transcends the need for answers." The group sat in stunned silence, each member lost in their own thoughts about which path would be theirs. "Before you can access the book," the abbot said, "you must reflect on your journey. The tea you drank earlier has already begun to work within you, guiding you toward the path meant for you. But be forewarned. If your heart is not sincere, if you approach the book with ego or deceit, the knowledge will shatter your mind. Many who sought its power before you were not prepared and were driven to madness. The abbot stood, motioning for them to follow. Rest tonight. In the morning, you will each decide your path. Once the decision is made, there is no turning back. As they followed him out of the room, Charlie couldn't shake the feeling that the decision they faced was larger than any they had ever made. The Shivoham waited, ancient and enigmatic, holding within its pages either enlightenment or destruction.